Have you tried adding layers to loose watercolour washes? In this video, I show you how. Hello there, Michelle Short here with Terrific Tags with Michelle. Today I have a card to share with you adding loose watercolour layers using the new Captivating Blooms set. So let's get started. This is the beautiful new Captivating Blooms set releasing today with this Summer Sunshine collection. Really beautiful outline set, a really large image with lots of sentiments as well. So I'm going to create a banner for my card and I'm using the Terrific Tags dies. I'm going to extend the die upwards so that I create a longer tag. I do end up cutting off the top part of the tag, but this is a great way if you want to extend the length of tags. So I added that through my die cutting machine, but I only cut the bottom part. I didn't add my plates all the way to the top. I'm then popping that die back in and it kind of pops in a bit like a puzzle piece towards the bottom, and then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine, and this time I'm going to do partial die cutting in the opposite direction, and that is going to line them both up. So now I've got a really tall tag. This would make a great bookmark or something like that, but I'm going to cut the top part off and create a banner for my card. So I'm just marking that off where I want to cut it down on an A2 size card base. I'm then going to stamp my image on top. So I've got the Captivating Blooms stamp here, and I'm just figuring out where I want to actually stamp it. I want to have a little bit of open area on that banner, but I do want quite a lot of flowers as well. So I ended up liking this placement, and so I've just added some low tack tape onto the back of that piece to try and kind of stick it down onto the paper there in the MISTI, just so that it doesn't move too much, and then I can add that magnet there at the bottom. I'm then going to ink up the image with embossing ink, and this is a clear sticky ink so that when I add the embossing powder on top, it's going to stick to it. I'm going to prep the banner with an anti-static powder tool and just remove the excess powder, and then I can stamp those flowers down onto that banner. I'm just going to press down lightly but firmly at the same time, and then I can pick that up, and then I can apply some pure white crisp embossing powder. I think this would look really pretty with like a metallic embossing powder, but I really do like just having white embossing powder and then having some, like the colour be from the watercolouring itself, kind of like vibrant colours on top. So I'm going to heat set that until it's completely melted, trying not to overheat that powder, and then I'm just going to remove any excess anti-static powder with a cloth. I'm then taking the fine mister bottle and I'm just going to mist some water over this banner here. I want to do kind of like a wet on wet technique, and so it's quite helpful just adding that mister of the water onto the banner to start with. I've then got some paintbrushes here and I'm using the Artist Watercolour 24 pan set. And I'm actually just using 3 colours from this set. I'm using Cherry Blossom, shades of purple, and then lapis lazuli there at the bottom. You could absolutely blend lots of different colours with this set and you can get some really lovely colours in between, but I'm just using those 3 colours and they're going to blend together really nicely. I'm then just really kind of, I'm going to say messily, just dropping in some of the watercolour onto this banner here. I'm calling this loose watercolouring. I'm not a fan necessarily of the phrase messy. To me it kind of gives off kind of negative connotations really, that it's something bad being messy, although I know a lot of people do call watercolouring in this way messy. So if I do say messy, I don't mean it in a bad way necessarily. So I've added some drops of the watercolour on top, and then I'm spraying again from the bottle, just making sure that that's really quite wet. And then I can go back in again and add some more watercolour. So again, just kind of dropping it in. I want to have different areas of the pink, the blue and the purple, but I do want them to blend quite nicely together as well. So I'm just filling in all of the areas with this first wash of watercolour. Now, ideally, in a better situation, I would leave this to dry kind of naturally in the air. Because of filming this and having it on video, I unfortunately don't have the benefit of time, and so I am heat setting this. It does look perfectly fine heat setting it, and it is a good way to do it, but I do think you get a slightly nicer kind of blend of the colours if you leave it to air dry. I'm then going to go over some of the areas here where the actual flowers are. I want them to be quite a bit darker than what those open areas are. So I'm just adding some more colour onto the kind of pools of colour that I've already made with the watercolours, and as you can see here, I'm adding it into the petals of the flower, and like I said, I do want it to be quite a bit darker. Some of the petals I add quite a lot of more darkness into, and other ones I left them a little bit lighter. So I'm just going to kind of speed through this process here. It did take me a little while. I do enjoy watercolouring, but sometimes it does take me quite a long time. I've always been a person that has preferred doing kind of more precise watercolouring rather than loose watercolouring. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know if you're kind of more of a loose watercolorer or you're more of a precise watercolorer. I do really like the look of this kind of more loose kind of look rather than more precise, and I think it is a little bit quicker than doing it the other way. I'm then just spritzing this again with some water. I didn't feel like I got a good enough blend, and just by adding that water on top, I feel like I did. But because I just can't leave it alone, I decided to add even more darkness onto those flowers, and it does end up really quite vibrant. I do like all of those colours together. I think they're very pretty. And so eventually I decide that I'm going to leave it alone, and this time I do let it air dry while I work on the other elements of the card. Here I have a panel of £110 Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, and I'm adding some double-sided adhesive sheet onto the back. This is so that when I do my die cutting, there's already adhesive on the back. I'm then taking the Simply Hello die, and I'm going to die cut that onto the panel. So just adding some low tack tape there and running that through my die cutting machine. And then when I take that out, it does actually get stuck in the die, which is absolutely fine. I'm just going to pop that out with some tweezers. And then I do cut that a further 2 times from that same panel of adhesive sheet. And I'm going to layer them one on top of each other. And I'm using the tweezers here just to help me out with the placement. This adhesive sheet is really very strong once it's stuck down, but you do have some time to kind of wiggle the letters, and you can actually lift it up and then stick it back down as long as it's not completely secure. So I do like this adhesive for that purpose. It's really quite helpful. So I'm just lining up the first 2 here, and then I can pop the next one on top. And that's just going to give some dimension to that word, and also helps with the stability of it as well, because some of the parts of the letters are quite thin. Once I've laid them all on top of each other, I'm going to use a bone folder just to really push that down. So my banner here has dried now, and I'm going to take some instant dimension foam tape and add that onto the back of it. I did get a little bit of warping, but it wasn't too bad, but I do just want to make sure that I'm covering the entire back of that banner piece, so that if there is any warping, it's going to stick down really nicely. So I can just cut some small bits of that foam tape just to finish off that foam on the back of that. I can remove the backings off of that foam tape, and then I can adhere that down onto an A2 sized white card base. So that's a finished size of 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. So I can just press that down and then I can pop the hello word on top. I'm just using a T-square ruler just so that I can try and get it as straight as possible. And then once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to bring in my bone folder again and really press that down. And then off camera, I did heat emboss a sentiment onto a black cardstock from the Tiny Sentiments Hello stamp set. This is one of my favourites for tiny little sentiments. I just wanted a little accompanying sentiment just underneath where the hello is. So the sentiment will read, "Hello, my sweet friend." I've popped some instant dimension foam tape onto the back of that, and then I can just pop that underneath that hello. And then to finish off, I did add a few iridescent droplets just for some embellishment. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Links to the products that I used will be listed in the description bar on YouTube and also over on the Altenew blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Hello there, crafty friend, Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.